Greetings, coaches. You're listening to the All Access Coaching Podcast powered by the Glazier Drive. My name is Rick Stewart, and I created All Access Coaching with a vision of coaches helping coaches, which is why I partnered with the folks at Glazier, because they share the same vision as I do, making you a better coach. This podcast, I'm excited to talk with my good friend, Tom Walls from up north in Canada. I met Tom years ago at the Glazier Minneapolis clinic, and since Tom's dad played for Tubby Raymond, we hit it off right away, and we've remained friends since then. Tom is going to give you some more information, but Tom started 2 club programs from scratch, ages 8 to 18, because in Canada, sports are not funded by the school system. So Tom wanted to share just like overall program building. He's going to really specifically get into some really good team building ideas that he uses. And this podcast and webinar will really apply to the small school programs in the United States, the Europe club teams, the club teams up in Canada, and youth programs in America. So if you're in one of these kind of programs, this is the podcast for you. I do got to pay the bills and want to take a minute to introduce you to our sponsor for today's episode. CoachComm is the nation's leading provider of coaches' headsets, practice systems, and coach-to-player listening devices. Teams of every size rely on CoachComm. From high school to college, championship champions across the U.S. choose CoachComm for their coaching communications. Visit them today at coachcomm.com. This podcast is being brought to you by allaccesscoaching.com, where a group of championship-level coaches, Tom himself included, are all dedicated to helping you as a coach. We have tons of free content on our website. The Coach's Corner has hundreds of blog articles. We do 3 webinars a week. This is one of them. We have all of our podcasts organized by subject on our website, but you can find our podcasts anywhere podcasts are found. Apple, Google, Spotify, Stitcher. You can download tons of free PDFs and PowerPoints straight to your computer. We have our locker room, a forum where you can get all your questions answered. We also have our camps and clinics page, so you can see what city our team of coaches are speaking in, and also attend one of our many deep dive installs or system clinics put on by Kenny Simpson and myself. These are not your typical clinic where a coach talks for only an hour. You spend 12 hours learning everything about the system, asking questions and pulling up game film, and watching live player demos so you hear the buzzwords and see the corrections being made on the fly. Our online store has over 800 courses and 20 playbooks that you can purchase, but of course our members get that for free. So without further ado, let's cut the commercials out and turn it over to my good friend Tom Walls. Tom Walls. I can't believe that blurted out. Coach, tell us a little about yourself. We can see the snow in the background as I sit here in sunny California. I'm wearing shorts and sandals in my 84-degree weather. So, Coach, and you are an American by heart. You, you kind of got. Anyways, you tell us your story, Coach. Who is Tom Walls up in our northern neighbors?
All right. Thanks, Rick. And if I had $1 for every time somebody mispronounced that name and made it Wells, I'd be ready to retire a lot earlier. So my name is Tom Walls. I'm an American by birth. I'm a Delawarean who moved up to Winnipeg, Canada. It's probably about 13 years ago now. My wife is a Canadian, and sometimes life puts you places you never thought you would be. If you look out my back window, you can see that we are in a Manitoba spring, which means we still have about 4 feet of snow on the ground. And we've got spring football supposed to start in about 3 to 4 weeks. I have no idea how we're going to not tear up all of our fields with the amount of snow we got this year. But regardless, like I said, I moved up here about 13 years ago, started a youth football program in our community right outside of Winnipeg. Had a lot of success with that. And when the kids I was coaching, including my son, who's now playing at Eastern University in Philadelphia, when those kids grew to high school age, we decided we were going to start a high school program here in Canada. Now, things are a little different here as far as starting teams are concerned. First of all, coaches don't get paid. When I left New York State, I was an offensive coordinator and I was making about $5,000 a year. I have spent well more than $5,000 on football since then in moving to Canada. School sports are completely self-funded. So the high school that I'm coaching at, Springfield Collegiate Institute, allowed us to have a high school football team. They provide us no money. We are only allowed to exist as long as, one, the kids maintain their grades, two, the program stays in the black, and three, we don't do anything to irritate the administration. So in 3 years, we've been able to do all of those things. And a big part of why we've been successful with it has been Coach Rick's program on building teams and building programs from worst to first. I've got a whole bunch of neat ideas I want to share with you that have really worked well for us. About 80% of them are Rick Stewart's. There's a couple of ideas that Kenny Simpson has provided. One or two I've gotten from Joe Daniels. And a couple of them that I'm going to say are organic, meaning that I thought of them. But the truth of the matter is, guys, there's no such thing as an original idea in football anymore. We've all gotten them from somebody at some time. So with all that in mind, I'm really honored to be able to show you some of the things that we've been able to do here at our really small school in Oakbank, Manitoba, that have really had a huge return on investment with no money down. So, awesome. Coach, if it's all right with you, I'm going to share a screen and try to take everybody through a little visual presentation.
Hey, let's jump on it. And coaches, it did cost me about $20 for Tom. No, I'm kidding. For Tom to put that plug in for you. No, I'm joking. I think, what do they say? Like-minded individuals gravitate towards each other. There's another guy. He's getting kind of new on the scene. Just started his YouTube channel. A guy named Chip Siegel. He calls it Football Talk with Coach Chip. I really like it. He gives emails every week, and it's just all about the power of positivity. And so I just finished a camp in Alabama, and I reached out to Chip, and I said, "Really like your stuff. It's really positive, you know." And so much of our country right now is about tearing each other down. And so I spent a day with him, and we really just hit it off. And Tom and I, that's why Tom and I hit it off. Tom and I were joking before we started the recording that, yeah, we have the X's and O's, and obviously you've got to have some good X's and O's. And we've got some of Tom's stuff up on our website where he's adapted some wing tee principles to his Canadian rules, a lot of jet sweep based stuff. And the X and O's are important, right? You've got to have good X and O's. But Tom and I are telling each other, I kind of am bored with the X's and O's, right? This is my passion now is the program building, character building, leadership building, changing these kids' lives, and it's exciting. So yeah, Coach, hey, Tom, let's jump into this. He's going to share a screen now. We understand there's some podcast listeners that are mowing their grass or jogging around the block. You're never going to, I'd be mowing the grass because you're not going to catch me jogging around the block. So Tom's going to make sure as he talks through this, that even our podcast listeners will be able to follow through. The PowerPoint Tom's already sent to me. We'll make it part of the show notes where you guys can, wherever you're finding this webinar or podcast, you'll be able to click the link and download Tom's slides. He's been kind enough to share those with us. All right, Coach, I just gave you the bounce pass, the no look pass, the ball's in your court.
All right, so let's share this screen and let's get right to it. Okay, so like Coach said, my name is Tom Walls, and I coach at Springfield Collegiate Institute in Oakbank, Manitoba. Oakbank is a farm community, agricultural community, probably about 20 minutes outside of Winnipeg, where I actually teach. I don't teach in the school where I coach, which is one more reason to really take a look at this stuff, because I'm not in the hallways recruiting kids, but it works. I've included my email address, oakbankfootball@gmail.com. Even that's kind of interesting, because I can't use a school email address. I have to use my own, and I can't call us Springfield Collegiate Institute. It has to be Oakbank Football. Again, the school lets us have a team by their graces. I have to completely have arm's length deniability with anything that goes on the internet. And there's my cell number with the Manitoba 204 underneath of it. Before we get into our program building that we've called Brick by Brick, which is our slogan, one more shout out that I need to give, along with Coach Rick Joe Daniels and our man Kenny Simpson, is to my wife, Shandy Walls. She's actually the person who was the inspiration for our youth program. And we like to call her our money coach because by trade, she's a fundraiser. So a lot of the things I'm going to share with you today, she's the person who does find some money for us to run all of the cool stuff that we do. And I'll talk to you a little bit about what she's done, but it would be really, really disingenuous if we didn't give her a shout out as well. So building a program, brick by brick. Slogans are pretty popular now, and brick by brick became ours. Whether it's PJ Fleck's Row the Boat or Kenny Simpson's Find a Way, we have found that this program slogan was really easy for us to put on everything and easy for the kids to buy into. You'll see this in a few moments when I share a video of our weightlifting program, which, I lifted from Rick. What the kids chant before they move on is they chant brick by brick, because we felt we needed something that really would communicate to everybody that we were a work in progress and we were building something. Interestingly enough, to give you an idea of when I talk about the administration only lets us have a program by their good graces, Springfield Collegiate Institute is known as the Sabres, not like a saber-toothed tiger, but like the swords. And the original slogan I wanted to use was sharpen the sword. The principal said, no way, too violent. So I had to go to something that would be a little bit more neutral, and brick by brick, he embraced and liked that right away. So I don't know how different that would be in the States if I suggested something like that, but I share that with you because not only did we have to start from scratch, not only do we have to fund ourselves completely, but we have to walk a very careful line in making sure we don't do anything that's going to get negative attention from the administration. So let's get right into it. I've got a bunch of neat ideas that I'd like to share with you today. So when we talk about our program building at Springfield Collegiate Institute, we break it up into three, I guess maybe we call them trimesters or 3 seasons. We go preseason, in-season, and postseason. And during the preseason, that's actually when we do the majority of our work in creating a program. Now, Rick mentioned this earlier about starting to move away from the X's and O's and starting to become bored with that. That's me. I run a really unique offense up here that combines Hugh Wyatt's double wing with some of the things that Rick does out of his pistol wing tee. And I feel really good about it. I feel good about it to a point where I'm no longer interested in attending Glazier clinics on X's and O's. Where I'm finding my joy in as a football coach is in building programs and figuring out what makes the player tick. And here's what I mean by that. How do I get a kid to come back to football when they're not a starter? Football's different than hockey. Football's different than basketball. Not everybody gets to touch the ball. And here in Canada, kids have to pay for their high school season. So not only do we have kids who may be second string and not see the field that much, but we've got kids who have to pay at the same time. So I've really, really got into this idea, and a lot of it through Joe Daniels, of how do you get the most out of kids? How do you get them to buy in? And most of what we found is that it's about the kids' relationships to each other, not the kids' relationships to me, and not their relationships to football that gets them to buy in. Now, Coach, you were a former Marine, and the Marines that I knew, when I would ask them why did they re-enlist, they would all say something along the lines of because of their buddies, because of the squad, not necessarily because of the Marine Corps. And I know it wasn't because of the pay the Marine Corps was offering. That's what we need to tap into to try to save football. because only so many kids get to touch the ball and only so many kids get to be stars. So let me share with you some of our ideas. So in the preseason, student leadership groups. This is an idea I got right from Rick Stewart. Okay, these were my captains last year. And this was our first captains meeting. And what I had the boys do right out of Rick's book, I had them apply to be captains. They had to do some writing for me. They had to fill out a form like a job application. And then I had them interview to be captains. And this was something I took out of Hugh Wyatt's book, where their interview questions were basically the things I was going to ask them to do during the season. So if they answered yes to them, they were signing a contract with me with that yes. That yes, they would attend all the weightlifting. Yes, they would contact their squads. Yes, they would do things like organize our bake sales and our fundraising. And this is us at our first meeting in a Subway where the boys are about to draft their squad members. And again, this is something I take right out of Rick's playbook. And wow, this is fun. They go down their list and they start arguing with each other of who's going to draft who and what they're willing to trade back and forth. And besides the hilariousness of where a kid will say, I'll trade you Johnny, but you've got to give me 2 cartons of chocolate milk as well as another player. Besides that hilariousness, what ends up happening is they get their squads and then they're in charge of their squads. Now, I do this a little bit different than Rick. I don't ask them to be in charge of their squads for the weightlifting because the weightlifting is a little different here. But I ask them to be in charge of their squads for their accountability and their communication. And then I start to let these guys organize things. They start to get a voice in the lifts that we're doing. They start to organize the chants that we do in between. And we have our first Sabre night, which I'm going to talk to you about in a minute, on the 25th. No, I'm sorry, our second Sabre night. And 2 of these kids are organizing it. So they're in charge of the bake sale. They're in charge of the games that we're playing. They're in charge of organizing everyone. And it does take things off of my plate. But what's been neat is when you see them starting to take ownership of the program and when they get to experience the frustration of kids not showing up or not checking in. And that's a really powerful conversation.
I want to chime in real quick, Tom. Coaches, one of the reasons for that, and we've all been doing it, whether you have a real job or you're just a school teacher, we get dragged into these meetings and your company or your school has hired a consultant and they go through all this theoretical stuff. If you're a school teacher, you relate to this. We have to go through a year of credential training programs, and it's all this theoretical, philosophical stuff of strategies and whatnot. And I don't know about you guys, then you get that first teaching job or you leave that consulting job and it's your first day on the job as a manager or salesman, whatever you're doing. And you find out that until you actually have to be on the firing line and apply these philosophies and these techniques and strategies, it really doesn't mean anything until you have to actually apply it. And I got the student leadership program from the Marine Corps. Obviously, we have platoons and we break things down and, you go, they got the colonel and then he's got his staff sergeant or gunny sergeant. And then it goes all the way down to the peon like me. And I was a corporal and, they put 8 or 9 guys in the student leadership program. Coach just mentioned some of the things he has as his leaders do. It allows your kids to apply leadership and character techniques that you've been preaching and maybe telling stories. And you're saying, here's how you be a good leader. Here's good character. Here's integrity. What's the definition of discipline? And we all do that. And most coaches do an amazing job after practice with a good 5 or 10 minute story about what this means. But when does your kid get to leave that theoretical environment, whether you did it in the weight room or after practice? I actually do it in a very formal classroom setting. I need to join Tom's team because I would enjoy doing it at Subway. But again, Tom doesn't have classrooms, right? Let your kids go out and apply it. I think that's what I see missing with a lot of programs. A lot of programs do a great job with the character and leadership programs, but they never let their kids leave the room and actually apply it to, hey, you're in charge of this fundraiser, organize it. Hey, you're in charge of cleanup, organize it. Hey, you're in charge of grade checks. Yes. Anyways, Tom, not steal your thunder, but
no. Everything you're saying is true. Everything you're saying is what we're done. But Rick, here's what I say. Somebody told me, I do remember Steve Dinard. He was a Binghamton High School football coach that I took my coaching courses from in New York. And he said to us, your captains must do more than just go out for the coin toss. If that's all they're doing, don't let them put it on their resume.
Awesome. And another quote, I shared this I just did a camp in Greensboro, Alabama. They bring me in to do pistol wing tee, but I could tell when I was at camp right away. And I told the young head coach that brought me in, I said, your problem here is not the pistol wing tee. Your problem is leadership. You really lack leadership. So we kind of changed camp a little bit. On Sunday, we did some leadership stuff. And what I told the kids was, and I stole this quote from somebody, I cannot take credit for this. Bad teams have no leadership. Good teams are led by the coach. Great teams are led by the players. So go ahead, Coach. I'm stealing your thunder.
No, this is really good stuff. So this was my first step. And again, guys, Rick's program works, and doing the trades, it's hilarious and it's so much fun. And then you get a kid on a team. He doesn't want to be on the team. He asks to be his free agent. We tell him you can't be a free agent. You got to wait till the next trading night. It's so good. If there was anything I would recommend, it was this. But let me talk about some other stuff. Weight training. This year, I changed the way we do our weight training. I was a guy who did the weight training in the 80s and 90s. I came up on BFS, bigger, faster, stronger. I still use BFS as core program, but I adapted it with what Rick suggested. And what we do is we lift as a team and we go through stations, including a BFS station, but the kids only move when I tell them it's time to move. So we get a workout and we get team building at the same time. I've got a quick video to show you.
Ooh,
this was just filmed the other day. The audio's on. I'm actually going to rewind that a little bit because I talked over it. You're going to hear the kids yell our slogan, brick by brick. You're going to see the kids on the bench press, some strong, some not. I get kids in the program who've never lifted a weight in their life. If you put them lifting too much weight, you're going to chase them away. But you're going to see them doing various activities, including the 20 sets on abs, just like you said, Rick, and then watch them move as a group. I really, really like this.
Break by one. Begin.
I love that everybody's moving.
Now watch what else we're going to do here, Rick. When they finish, I have them get into planks and hold the planks until we're all done. That's different.
Finish your numbers.
Love it.
Now, again, I got some boys who are strong and some who are just learning.
Yes.
So they stay in the plank until the last kid has gotten his weight changed.
2, 1, rotate.
Now, I did start that one early, but you can get the point.
Tom, let's pause the video for our podcast listeners that are driving in their car or mowing their yard. So Coach is showing a video. He's only got 2 squat racks. A lot of our schools, same thing. We're not blessed with these, some of these pictures on the internet of all these Texas weight rooms. So he's got 2 guys benching, 2 guys squatting. And then he had 2 guys over here working shoulders. They had a dumbbell. They were doing like chin pulls. He had some guys working shoulders. But if you guys can imagine, and then over to the left, I think you had some guys doing some we call them bus drivers. They're just sitting up on their butt with their feet lifting, and they're just kind of going, they're twisting back and forth.
Hey, Rick, we can't call it this anymore. The technical name is Russian twists.
Okay.
Oh, no. Wait. Let me tell you. On the board, I call them freedom twists.
Ukrainian twist.
Listen, if we're not laughing, why are we coaching? Really, let's have some fun with this.
So for podcast listener, bottom line is he's got this circuit where literally everyone in the weight room, once he said brick by brick, every single kid started doing some sort of exercise. The only two kids not doing exercise were the two spotters. If coach would have had 3 squat racks, he would have had 3 spotters.
Yes.
The spotters are the only kids. Now, coach, are your rotations intentional? I noticed you had bench press. So you're working chest. You've got 2 shoulders, and then you had abs. I noticed a kid has a paper in his hand. So they've got the set reps in their hand. What's that paper in the kid's hand?
So yes, that's going to be his essentially BFS chart, where he's going to be writing down his numbers on, we're doing 5 reps. So this must've been 5 sets of 5.
Okay.
So then you know how BFS works. He'll compare that to his previous 5 sets of 5 to see if he sets a personal best. Now, here's what I'd say about this, and this is why I like this so much. The reason I never liked circuit training was I didn't think you could really develop strength through it.
I agree. I agree. Circuit training is, I always call it metabolic cardiovascular.
And there's a place for it for sure. But the way I've structured this, and this comes out of your handbook, is before they get on the bench, which is their core lift, they spot. And if they are a spotter, their only job during that stage is to spot. They do not plank because they know that's their rest period. Yes. Then we get them right onto the bench. Now, we've got another day where we do squats and another day where we're going to do deadlifts. But like I said, my kids, brand new to weightlifting, learning how to bench press was enough of a challenge for us.
So you coaches out there, this podcast was not on weight training, but basically the theory is the science tells you that whatever muscle you just worked, you've got to give it about a 1-minute recovery. So my theory, and Tom's referring to my SSX program, Speed, Strength, Explosion, which is on my website, alexiscoaching.com. It's a full binder with videos of every exercise. But the ideal is if I just work my shoulders, I could rotate and work some other muscle while my shoulders were recovering. So yes. Maybe I work the shoulders and then I go do some abs. And now my shoulders are getting that 1 minute of ATP regeneration. I agree with Tom. Yes. The circuit training, because you're just moving so fast, because you're not giving the muscles the recovery time, it did lack strength. And by the way, for you guys, for the bigger, faster, stronger. So it's in 4-week microcycles, and it's 3 sets of 3, 5 sets of 5, 3 sets of 10. And then it's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 if it's an Olympic lift, and it's 10, 8, 6, 4, 2 if it's bench or squat. Yes. And then all the auxiliaries is just always 10 reps of whatever. It's 5 sets of 10, 3 sets of 10. And then abs is always just 20 reps. I don't know what the science is, but my kids could remember that. They could know that when they went to an auxiliary, you do it 10 times. When they do abs, you do it 20 times. Again, this is not a weight training podcast. The ideal of this is it's team building. And the other message is we start as a team, we finish as a team. Yes. So and you don't begin the next round, next set until the last guy on your team has finished. So the other message is we leave no man behind. We're not leaving any teammate behind. If a teammate's struggling, we go over there and we clap him up and he's going to finish. If he needs 3 spotters, he is going to finish. If it's 3 sets of 10, he is going to do 10 reps, even if he needs 5 spotters. We never let a kid quit and say, well, you put too much weight on, just rotate. Now we're sending a message that you can quit. And we're also sending a message that, hey, we don't care if you don't finish. No, we do care. We got your back.
So, Rick, 2 points to add on to that. And I know we're going down a rabbit hole, but we're talking about great stuff here. This is gold. 2 points. 1, when we get a kid on the bench who puts the wrong weight on, he has to get up, change the weights, get it right to the appropriate amount for him to do for those reps. And while he's doing that, the rest of the team is in a plank. That sucks. So the rest of they know that they've got pressure on themselves to know what they have to do and to do it properly, or else their teammates are going to suffer. We translate that into a football metaphor. If you don't know your play, you're putting your brother to the right and left in danger. Second thing, and this has been a great reply, when I have kids who say, well, I work out on my own. You don't work out like this. This is team building. So if you're by yourself in the gym and you're squatting and you're resting for 10 minutes in between your sets, you are not getting this team atmosphere. And Rick, the chanting in between is corny as hell, but I promise the kids love it. If you sell it, the kids will love it. Do not be that coach that's, this is kind of embarrassing. I'm going to clap my hands. I'm going to blow a whistle. You're missing it. You're missing it, brother. You're missing an opportunity to bring energy to the kids. And so I've got 26 kids returning. I get on average 18 kids in the weight room after school. Easily the best turnouts we're having. Easily. That was a lot. So sorry, but it's good stuff. It's great.
The chance coaches are is they've rotated. They got their weight set. All eyeballs on you as a coach. Your imagination's your limit. Coaches going brick by brick. I go live to win, commit or quit, go hard, go home. I just tell them all those sayings that you see on the back of t-shirts. You could go through your core values. Sometimes I go through my schedule backwards. So the first time they rotate, I'll say beat and I'll say opponent number one. And then they repeat beat opponent number one, clap, clap, clap. Next time they rotate, beat. And then I'll say opponent number two.
Oh, I like that, Rick. I'm going to do that next week.
Because then the kids memorize the schedule. When you get through game 10, then they're on their 11th rotation. But wait a minute, coach, we only do 3 sets of 10. Well, we do 3 sets of 10, and then we go to some different exercises. So now it's another set of 3 sets of 10. So I might get through 6 games. But then sometimes I'll go, no, it's more than that, because if you've got 5 kids in a group, just the first set is five sayings. Then the second set is 5 more sayings. The third set is 5 more sayings. So then I'll go first round of playoffs, or I'll say home playoffs, clap, clap, clap. Then I'll go quarterfinals, clap, clap, clap. First team in school history, semifinals, clap, clap, clap. State championship, clap, clap, clap. And I take the kids to the schedule. So there's lots of ways to do it. I have visited some weight rooms that have adopted my SSX. I'm going to actually do this for 2 solid days in Portland. If you guys are coming in my install in Portland, and some of the coaches just went to the whistle. And I'm with Tom. You're making a huge mistake, because you could do your schedule. You could do your core values. You could do your vision statements. Like there's so many things. And now it's ingrained in these kids' head, right? 11 helmets, 1 poor soul, clap, clap, clap.
Oh, I like that one too.
Right? Just coaches, this is a chance for you to tattoo core values, goals. If we've done our game day list and I go through the game goals, hold number 20, hold 26 under 100, hold 26, clap, clap, clap. A team goal, less than 200 yards rushing, clap, clap, clap. 3 interceptions, clap, clap, clap. 400 yards rushing for us offense, clap, clap, clap. Shutout, clap, 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 clap. And so on Friday, we do our game day list. We go through our game day goals, right? What was important about, this game? Their star receiver, number 80, no catches, clap, clap, clap. So the verbalization of this is huge with your team building, your goal setting, your mindset. So anyways, let's move on, Coach.
All right. So let me, only a second in this, let's let it play out, and let's go to our next one. Okay, so brick by brick challenge. So again, this came out of, I'm pretty sure it's your idea too, Rick. And if it's not you, it's Kenny Simpson, where those team leaders get teams with their last names on it, and they earn points. The points are for attending team functions. The points are for setting personal bests. We also give away points for report card grades 85 or above. We give away points for random acts of kindness that teachers will email me And we even put up on a math teacher's bulletin board a football math question each week that the kids answer, and they have to bring it to the math teacher. And the math teacher contacts me as to who got it correct. And what we do, again, remember, we've got zero to no money. The winning team at the end of all of this, they get what we call the Disney E-Pass. And that means they go to the front of the line with everything. Equipment handouts, meals, spots on the bus, anything that kids get to choose, the winning team goes first. And we also list each kid, and the kids, by their points, are how they pick out their numbers. So the kid who's racked up the most points, he gets to go and choose his number first. The kid who has the least points, even if that's my quarterback, who lives and dies for the number 12, if there's a freshman who's earned one more point than you, that freshman gets to choose first. So we keep track of all these scores this way. It's pretty easy. I use an Excel sheet. I'm not great at math, but it's just daily bookkeeping. Okay, the other thing that we like to do, and Rick mentioned the BFS 4-week micro programs. Every 4 weeks, we get the kids together and we do something called Saber Nights, where we will test them in their lifts, but then the rest of the night, we will do something really, really fun like this.
3, 2, 1.
We'll get them together and we'll just play dodgeball for the rest of the night. And this is our first Saber Night that we had. We're attended by about, 30 kids or so, including some of our recruits. You can still see we still have the masks on because we were still under our COVID rules. Our next Saber Night, you can hear my wife in the background filming. Our next Saber Night is next Friday. And instead of playing dodgeball, we're going to play floor hockey. And this is something that I put the captains in charge of. The captains pick out the sports. The captains organize the teams. They make the playlists. And then they do this. And this was an idea I think my wife came up with. How do we feed these kids when we don't have much of a budget? Check it out. I have the captains organize a baking contest. And I just went through proofreading the letter one of my captains is going to send to all the parents, where they challenge parents to bring in a baked good, just 12, say a dozen cookies, a dozen brownies. We line all of them up, and the kids go and taste them, and they vote for the best baked good. Now, you're looking at a sheet cake that a parent actually did for our last Saber Night. I can't bake. My wife is a great baker, but she can't make a possible sheet cake. And then what we do is the winning parent gets a championship wrestling belt that I buy at Walmart. And we take a picture of them and we put it all over our social media, absolutely free. And what ends up happening is the parents compete against each other with baked goods, and we become the true winners of it. The kids absolutely love this. Coach, are we going to do the baking contest? We're going to do the baking contest. My mom wants to compete. My sister wants to compete. My brother wants in. So remember, we've got a zero budget to be able to afford kids food. We just create a little incentive around it, and we get baked goods brought in, and I'll dip into my own account and I'll buy chocolate milks for all the kids. We send them off at the end of the night, and there's big, giant smiles. And what we've done, and this comes out of Rick's philosophy, we've done no football. The kids who come in from the basketball team, or for us, our hockey players that we really want to try football, we don't even talk to them about football. If they want to do the testing stuff, they're welcome to it. And typically they will do it because they don't want to be the kid who's not running the 30-yard dash, that's not doing their jump rope. But then afterwards, we play floor hockey, we play dodgeball. I'm still trying to figure out how to do the Madden tournament. And then we eat, and every kid leaves there with a smile. Easy, fun, cheap. And the kids really love it.
And you've chosen, hey, Tom, you've chosen to do this every Wednesday night. It doesn't really matter what night you pick. I used to do it on Saturdays. And give us some ideas. So you've done dodgeball.
Yep.
What was the other thing? Floor hopping?
Floor hockey. Remember where we are, Rick?
Oh, yeah, you're in Canada. Floor hockey.
There was a year we did 3-on-3 basketball. We've done volleyball, and volleyball is really popular here.
Very fun.
I hate to admit this, but it's really popular in Canada. We've done badminton too.
Oh, yeah, that's a good idea.
It's really popular. What we haven't done, and we had planned to do it the COVID year, we haven't done paintball or bowling. And when I mention paintball, the kids' eyes light up. But there's a cost to it, right? And these have been easy to do and cheap. Paintball takes a bit more time. But again, there's an opportunity for your student leaders.
I cannot emphasize that enough. When that athlete from another sport walks in, because I tell my leaders, invite every boy on campus and girls, but we only had a few girls. And you're salivating, you're like, ooh, oh man, he's gonna play football. If you sprint up to him and the first thing out of your mouth is, I'm so glad you're here, you're gonna play football. You know what you just told that kid subconsciously? I really don't care about you as a human being. I only care about you as a football player.
Yep. And it's no different than dating. You can't be desperate. You got to be cool.
Coach,
I've been married for 23 years. I'm good, but I remember.
The other thing is when you don't go up there, I've had some star athletes that eventually came around. They went to all of our team building. I don't know how often Tom does this. We only would do this like once a month in the spring. Then the kid would come out and we develop a relationship. I say, I got to ask you, what changed your mind? What made you come out for football? We've been on you for 3 years. And he would say to them like, Coach, I came to all your dang spring team buildings and not once did you ask me to play football. It almost like he goes, I've always been the star athlete. I'm used to coaches begging me. And you never would ask me to play football. You always were nice to me and asked me how my day was going. And I would even make sure I complimented him on his sport that he played. It's kind of like dating, right? It's kind of like that hard to get thing, right? Oh, you're playing aloof. I'm not interested. And you end up getting the prettiest girl because you're the only boy in campus that seems like you're disinterested.
So, Rick, I went to a clinic in Grand Forks at the University of North Dakota, and there was a coach from East Grand Forks, really good young coach, and he talked about all of the hockey players, and because hockey's king up here, and he said, and this was such good advice, be persistent, but do not be desperate, because once a kid plays football for you, the moment they're hit in the mouth, they will quit.
Interesting.
Really, really smart. And it kind of changed the way I approach kids. Persistence, absolutely. Good salesman. Desperate? No, man, they got to play football because they want to play football, not for you. I'm no Vince Lombardi. I'm not bringing back any gods to football. It's not about me. It's about the kids.
Right. Awesome. So weight training, brick by brick chance, saber nights, baking contest.
Social media. Again, it's free. Flood the market with that stuff. And I never had to learn any lessons with this because I was always hyper aware of the administration looking at my social media. And I'm a teacher, so I should know better in putting kids' last names there. But just word of warning. And I had this conversation once with Kenny Simpson about it. And I know you've got to know this, Rick. Social media can be a mean place. If you're choosing to go to the Wild West, don't go into the saloon.
There you go.
One more thing that I've got to show before we move off of preseason, it's our marketing. And this is part of a shout out to Kenny Simpson and his ideas of marketing. So here's what we've got going on. We have got toques. Brick by brick Sabre football toques. We got these completely sponsored. 40 of them bought from China, very cheap prices. I gave them out at our Sabre night. You attended, you got a toque.
Coach, what are you calling them? A toque? That looks like just a hooded, when you go skiing, that's just
yes, it's just that. Don't you remember Bob and Doug McKenzie from the 1970s?
No.
Oh, SCTV. That's where Americans got introduced to this idea of toques.
Of toques.
They're just knitted hats.
Yeah, coaches, these are your beanies you pull over your head to cover your ears.
So we label them with Brick by Brick. We got a sponsor to cover them, gave them away. As we did, we're going to this next Sabre night. And these are simple baseball caps. They're pretty cheap, guys, but kids love free stuff. We got a sponsor to cover these. Check this out. These are neck gaiters. We're giving these away at our last one. And you can see they have written in there, Brick by Brick Sabre Football sponsor. We haven't spent a dime on this, but this is the best one. You've got to check this out.
Wait, what was this one? What was the previous one? A neck what?
Neck gaiters. They're the neck rolls. Sorry, I started the video again. And they crunch up on your neck. You can wear them as a headband. You can wear them as a do-rag. I wear them when I go running. Well, it's -40 when we go running here, so you got to keep your neck warm.
So basically like a glorified handkerchief that can serve lots of purposes.
Yes, very cheap. Now, I got to tell you, the toque, sponsored by my wife's company. The baseball cap, sponsored by a parent whose 270-pound kid I've got down to 260. The neck gaiters, sponsored by our local dental company. They're out there. And here's my shout out to my wife's lessons. When it comes to fundraising, you are far better going to an individual sponsor than selling cookie dough. You'll get a bigger return for far less of the money. Let me show you the one we did last year that I'm wearing that was a huge hit. Check this out. I got this idea from the high school I coached at in New York, Vestal High School, where we got a bunch of little sponsors to each kick in a bit of money, and we put them on the back of sweatshirts. I'm sure lots of you are doing this. Here's what we also did with the sweatshirts. Check this out. These are my 4 captains for this year, and these guys are different from my captains in the past based only on their hair. We got a local hair salon to sponsor us as long as we had these kids advertise their products on social media. So these are my 4 captains with their lovely hair, and they are advertising for Oak Bank Nail and Curls. And Oak Bank Nail and Curls has provided us our sweatshirts for this year and a 20% discount for any football player who comes in and announces that Brick by Brick to them. This was not hard. It just took a little creativity.
For you podcast listeners, he's got 4 players up there, and all of them have hair. It reminds me of being in high school in the 1980s. They've all got hair down to their shoulders. They all look like the heavy metal lead singer of all the Van Halens and Aerosmith bands that we grew up loving.
But Rick, maybe this is an example. I never was big about kids having long hair, but as I've grown older, I've grown more mellow about it. I tell the kids, let your freak flag fly. But I've been able to find an advantage in it, like the weightlifting. Instead of weightlifting being just squatting, it's a team building exercise.
Coach, I got to say, wait, hold on. Let your freak flag fly. Oh,
I let the kids grow their hair, and they become sponsors for our local hair salon. It works. Okay. So anyway, we're going down a bit of a rabbit hole, but this is lots of fun stuff. And guys, this is probably my busiest part of the year is preseason, because this is really where we're building our program and all of this stuff. Once we hit the season, we probably do a little bit less. Let me start by talking about this. We have a couple of special days. The first one we call Sabre Day. And this is going to be the American version of two-a-days. Nobody does this in Canada. I bring the kids in at about 7:30 in the morning, and I lose them at about 5. And in between there, this is a video of our parent meeting and barbecue at my house. You'll see my dogs. You'll see some of our kids. And some of our expectations. And what I'll do here is I'll go over the expectations of players and parents in the same way that we did the interview for the captains, things they have to say yes to. So then I get them to buy in. We will hand out these T-shirts. And Rick, this is your idea. And Rick, this was awesome. This was awesome. The kids will go off with me and we'll do a bonfire or we'll talk. And my wife will stay with the parents and hand out these T-shirts. They're really cheap. You'll notice the front says brick by brick. And on the back, I want you to check out what's done. I know, I got podcast. I have to explain it. On the back of the T-shirt, you can see messages that were written on this T-shirt for the kid. Because what we'll do is my wife will say, now take these T-shirts to the parents. And this is such a powerful statement. She cries when she says it. She'll say, have this shirt signed by every person who loves this child. Get the shirt back to us. And on the day before the first game, we'll present these shirts to the players and ask them to wear them under their uniform for the first game, because it'll remind them not only are they playing for themselves, but they're playing for all the people who supported them along the way. Rick, great idea, simple, and boy, does it create credibility with parents.
Do they wear them under their shoulder pads during the game like we do?
Yep. First game.
We make the kids wear them under their shoulder pads every game to remind them why do you really play? You're not truly deep down playing for the scoreboard. Yeah, we all want to win, but the message is we're playing for more important things. And this is the message that you're playing for the people who love you.
Now, guys, I did have to dip into our accounts for this, but take a look at the T-shirt. And for you on podcasts, it's a white T-shirt with red lettering on it. It says brick by brick. It's as cheap as I could get it. These shirts wrinkle up incredibly, but it's not about the quality of the shirt. It's about the names that assign the back. And I don't think I had any kids cry with it, but I know I had some parents cry with it. And boy, tears with a parent, that's a parent who's going to buy in. I need to fast forward on a little bit because I realize I'm taking too much time, but what the hell? This is good stuff, right? That same Sabre Day, we finish up at 4:00 after these long practices by bringing somebody in to talk to the kids. This picture is our local university coach. He coaches at the University of Manitoba, and every one of these kids thinks that they're going to play for the University of Manitoba. And it's not my dream, or excuse me, it's not my job to be a dream killer. Not my job at all. And we do a potluck, again, costing us nothing. But it's a little different in Canada. So what I really have to do to get the kids to show up on this day is we do this. This is our media day. I call in our local newspapers, and I think I got that idea from Kenny Simpson, but this idea I got from you, Rick. We do our schedule poster on that day.
Yes. And
if you're not there, you're not in the picture. And what we do with this is we try to structure a photo that the seniors pick. So those are my seniors up front. And you can see we had a senior-laden team. But by the way, that's 16 of them. Only 7 of them had played football before. And one of them was out for the season with an ACL. And what you see on top of the trailer, by the way, that trailer, the decals and the trailer itself, donated. Not a dime paid for. And on the inside of that, that's our locker room. Up on top of the trailer are all of our underclassmen.
Wait, back up. That's important for club teams. So coaches on the podcast, he's basically giving you a trailer, an 18-wheeler that a diesel truck would pull.
Yes.
So inside that trailer, you turned that into your locker room?
Yes. We had wood and lumber donated by the local hardware store. And I was fortunate in that my defensive coordinator is the general manager of a building supply store. So he got the plans for the blueprint. Parents came by. We all had chop saws. We all had power drills. And we did an Amish barn raising inside of the trailer to create a locker room. Because again, Rick, God love Springfield Collegiate Institute, but they have given us nothing.
Right.
Now,
love it.
Here's the fun part. The grade 12s that you see posing by these 3 cars, they picked how we were going to pose that year. And this year, my seniors were all flashy car guys. They like the outsides of the cars. So we pulled all of their cars up to do this photo. The year before, my guys were all truck guys. So we had all of their pickup trucks up, and some of them were really ugly. This year, my grade 12s are all the inside parts of the car guys. So I think we're going to do this photo at a junkyard.
Okay.
And I'm going to bring my...
Why are some kids in white and some kids are in the dark jersey? Some are in away jersey, some are in a home jersey.
The true deep reason behind that is those are our defensive players in the darks and our offensive players are in whites. But our team manager, one of the team moms, suggested if we can alternate them on the top, it'll be a more visually appealing picture.
Love it.
Now, here's the really fun part. If you look at the photo, the kid who's on the extreme left, one of my 2 grade 9s who played, Brady Smith, we call him the dog. You know, Coach, sometimes you get feelings about kids and you just know that that's a kid who's going to be a player. He's got a fear of heights. So he's up there white knuckling it the whole way.
Right.
And you can't see it. But behind him is one of my assistant coaches lying on his belly, holding the back of Brady's jersey.
Got it.
Like a harness. And
because he's sitting on the top of this tractor trailer.
Yeah. And my son, who would have been a grade 12 in this group, was in Philadelphia playing already. And since he's gone to an American high school and a quad A high school, he kind of looks down his nose at Canadian football now. Even when he saw this, he referred to this photo as being tough.
Wow.
Great PR. Great PR. And again, this year, we're going to be in a junkyard, and I'm going to get those grade 12s with sledgehammers and big giant wrenches and pipes in their hands, looking like they're the warriors from the 1976 movie, taking the train back to Coney Island.
Yes. And so, coaches, really what this is in the old days, we had 2-a-days and you had 2 weeks of Hell Week, and the states are changing it. But bottom line is, whatever that last practice is, that's quote unquote the end of your training camp, it's usually this practice before your next scrimmage. Really dress that up. And we used to have some hamburgers and hot dogs barbecued. Coach does the potluck. You bring in a guest speaker, you do the media day, you snap pictures. Besides the team picture, like Coach is showing here, we also, because we have a photographer out there with a nice camera, they get to snap pictures with their moms. Looking ahead at our awards banquet, every senior who played 4 years in our program, we make them a really nice plaque. And we take the rejected helmets from the reconditioning. We cut those helmets in half and mount them on these plaques. And we do little 5x7 photos that we mount on the plaque. And that is all of our seniors. So we have a separate photo of the seniors. Now, if we have a senior who didn't play all 4 years, he can be in that photo, but he doesn't get the plaque. The plaques are for kids who played all 4 years and stayed eligible. So this media day, think ahead. Also, sometimes your game programs, you need a headshot of every player. So this media day, we're just knocking all that out. We're getting the headshots in. We're getting the player and mom picture. We're getting senior pictures. You might get a picture of all your linemen. Some of your assistant coaches want to do buddy pictures of their positions. And like Coach said, it's very powerful because if you're not at this media day, you don't get to be in the photos. You eat. You have a guest speaker. The T-shirt thing that Coach Walls is talking about. After this Saturday morning practice, and then we did the media day and we eat. This was when our kids would load up. It's now about 1 p.m. because we would have started a scrimmage at 8 a.m. on Saturday, do our 1.5 hour, whatever, eat, guest speaker, get the photos out of the way. And by 1 o'clock, we were loaded up in vans and parent cars and heading up to the mountains for the camping trip where they get the T-shirt signed by everybody who loves them. Because then basically what happens is that next Monday we start regular practice after school because that next Friday we're usually scrimmaging somebody. Anyways, Coach, let's move on. This is great stuff.
No, Coach, I do have to add this in, Coach, because you just brought this up. So 0 budget at SCI, Springfield Collegiate Institutes. There's no money to go camping. Here's what we're going to do, Rick. We're going to have a weekend sleep in at the school.
Okay.
Mats on the gym floor, sleeping bags. We will spend Friday, Saturday, do our media day on Sunday morning. And I bring this up for the reason that, guys, a lack of money cannot prevent you from doing these neat things. It's really just a matter of being more creative. This poster, this was done by our graphics teacher at the school. This was done for free. So I didn't need to spend money on it. Where there's a will, there's a way.
Tom, this was great stuff. Great stuff. Coaches, Coach Walls shared some great ideas of what they do in the preseason. If you go and search for the part 2 of the podcast, he's going to continue this awesome speech on program building, and we're going to cover what Coach does during the in-season. Again, this is Rick Stewart with allaccesscoaching.com, where we're about coaches helping coaches. Make sure you visit the website, www.allaccesscoaching.com, for tons and tons of free stuff. We got free downloads. We got blog articles. We do these webinars. We got podcasts. I really want to make sure I provided lots of free resources for coaches. Of course, we do have 800 videos and 20 books for sale, which if you're a member of the website, you get that for free. And you can find all this stuff at the Glazier Drive, since Glazier Drive and All Access Coaching has partnered up with these webinar podcasts. But again, go back to your podcast or the YouTube channel where you found this video, and we'll have part 2 right next to it. And you guys can continue with Coach Tom Walls up in Canada, where he's going to talk about his in-season team building stuff.